All right, guys, Ask a Felon back with another one for you. Make sure you hit that like, comment, subscribe. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into it. What's the biggest mistake you made after getting a second chance? Hands down, getting back on drugs. Biggest mistake I made because every time I get on drugs, I do crazy shit. So my biggest mistake was getting out, thinking I was gonna, I can just take one, mainly Xanax. I can just take one Xanax and it's gonna calm me down. I'll be okay. You can't do that. Not if you're an addict. Once you touch them, it's over with. I don't know how many times in my life I've told myself, even when I was getting the prescriptions for them, I had a prescription of Somas, Xanax, Hydros, and I always told myself every single month, I'm going to take them like I'm supposed to. I'm going to take them the way they're prescribed, which the prescription would say take one tablet 3 times a day, take one tablet 4 times a day. But just on them combination alone, that's enough to make somebody buzzed out of their mind. Even if you're taking, okay, let's say you're taking 3 Xanax a day, 4 Somas a day, 4 Hydros a day, the prescription alone, taking them the way they're prescribed, will make you messed up. But I couldn't do it that way. Even though I told myself these will last me longer, I won't get crazy and do dumb shit on them. I'll just take them like they're prescribed. Never works out that way. And then once I got my second chance after I got out of prison, I got out there and I wanted to get high. I wanted to speed. I wanted to feel speed. So I started doing Suboxone. Suboxone was better than Hydros. Hydros are too hard to find for me. So I was like, fuck it, I'll do some Suboxones. I'm only going to do a quarter piece. Started out, quarter piece was fine. And then it went back up to where I almost wanted to start shooting them up again. Luckily, I was married and raising kids at the time, and that's the only thing that kept me from going back to shooting up. But my biggest mistake after I got a second chance was getting right back on them drugs, mainly Xanax. If I'm on Hydros, or if I'm on anything else but Xanax, I can control it. Not control it, but I mean, it don't change me to where I don't remember shit. Xanax, they make it to where I don't remember shit and turn me into a whole different person. So the biggest mistake I made after a second chance was thinking I could control drugs again. You can never control your drugs if you're an addict. I don't care. People might not agree with this, but if you're an addict, you ain't controlling them drugs. Them drugs are controlling you. Okay? If you had 10 minutes to the entire world, what really happens when someone destroys their life through addiction and crime? What would you tell them? That it ain't worth it. No matter how low down you are, no matter how bad things seem, it always gets better. Don't fall back to drugs and crime. Usually the crime goes with drugs. I don't think I've known too many people who goes and commits crimes if they ain't on drugs or drunk or something. I mean, I'm pretty sure 90% of the crimes that get committed is related to drugs or something. So I'd just say that it's not worth it, because if you're doing the crime, if you're doing, for one, the drugs, you're going to become addicted and you ain't going to be able to get off of them. The withdrawals are horrible depending on what you're doing. I know shooting up withdrawals was something else, boy. I'll tell you that right now. Xanax withdrawals, you can have seizures. I had a seizure from them. Though luckily, one time, the whole time I've been on them in my entire life, I only had one seizure. But that was because I always had a connection or a prescription to where I stayed with my Xanax. And if I had to, the way I would run out would be I'd get down to 10 left, and I'd be like, all right, I know I ain't got no more, so I got to make these 10 last me the next 5 days. So that's the only way that kept me from actually having a seizure. But the time I did run out, I was doing 100 Xanax every couple of days. Like, I'm talking, I could eat 20 Xanax a day. No exaggeration, no lie. I'm not, like I said, everything on here is straight truth for me. I ain't got to beef nothing up or anything like that. But I could do 20 Xanax a day, no problem. No ifs, ands, buts about it. Depending on what milligram they was. Bars, I could go through 5, 10 of them a day, no problem. I mean, sometimes more. I'd buy 80, 90 uh, downers, depending on if they Xanax, Klonopin, Ativan, just depending on what I got my hands on. But I could buzz through 600 of them like that. They'd be gone in less than a month, a couple weeks or so. Between me and the people I'd be around, it wouldn't last very long at all. So it destroys your life 100%, especially when you think you can control it. Because then, like I just said earlier, you think you can control it, but you can't. There's no control in the drugs. The drugs control you. If you're addicted to something, the drugs control you. That's all there is to it. There's no other way around it. They're controlling you. When did you first realize the people around you were influencing the person you were becoming? When I first realized that is the day that I let somebody shoot me up because my veins, because I'm kind of stocky and my veins pop out. You know, my veins stick out a lot because I don't know. Yeah, I know you guys have seen the kind of people who's got they're muscular looking and their veins pop out all over their arms and pop out all around. Well, I was sitting there with my ex-girlfriend's sister and brother-in-law. That was her brother-in-law, and he's telling me I knew they shot up, but I always told myself I ain't shooting up. I ain't shooting up. Never will I shoot up. Fuck that. That's nasty. That's dirty people shit. Well, he seen my arms and he was like, man, I could hit that vein so easy. I'd love to shoot that vein, man. I'd love to shoot your vein. Which now I think about it, it was just him getting me into shooting up. It wasn't that he wanted to shoot my vein. It was he wanted me to shoot up. So I would be part of the shooting up to where if they needed a needle, I'd have one. If they needed the drugs, we could shoot up together. You know, I'll split this with you and you shoot yours, I'll shoot mine. But that's when I realized it because I let him shoot me up and I never did it any other way after that. As soon as I shot that up, I never did it any other way but shooting it up. I was even shooting up anything. I didn't even know if you could shoot up Xanax, but I was crushing them up and trying to shoot them up. I was trying to shoot up anything I got my hands on. Like it was bad. So that's when I realized that people was influencing the person I was becoming because I let somebody just something as simple as that. I ain't gonna lie, it was always in the back of my mind. I'd like to shoot up, but I know I hate needles. I don't trust it. Blah blah blah. I just took one time of weakness and I did it, and it never changed after that. What did you think prison was gonna be like before you actually experienced it, and what surprised you the most? Well, I thought prison was gonna be you walk in there and you got all these people surrounding you saying, new guy, new me, like the movies make it out to be. It really wasn't nothing like that. I mean, if you want to stay low in prison, you can stay low in prison. If you want to stay under the radar, you can. At least from my experience. Like I said, everything I talk about on here is my experience, my personal experience. But if you don't want to be in the mix of shit, you can find a way to stay out of it. Now, some people might take it as a weakness and think, oh, he's scared because he's staying by himself. No, it's just sometimes that's the best way to be a loner. I mean, that was the way I did my time. I messed with my tattoo guy in there, which I spent a lot of time getting tattoo work done. That made the day go by quick. So what I did when I was in there is I just stayed to myself, and it surprised me. What surprised me most about it was how not everybody in there is some mean killer that's ready to fuck you up over looking at them the wrong way or anything. You know what I mean? Like it ain't like nothing like prison movies make it out to be. I mean, I know they got to dramatize it and make it seem worse than what it is, but it can be bad for you if you get in there for a certain charge, or you're in there and you're doing stupid shit like borrowing money and doing drugs and not paying your debt. Then yeah, you're gonna have some problems. Or you're in there mingling with people and gossiping. You're hanging out with one person and gossiping about the other. Like that's one of the reasons I got into it with my bunkie and I got sent to the hole. He was mad because I was getting tattoo work and nobody wanted to work on him. So he would have these little smart ass comments inside the cell when we locked down at night about, oh shit, I could have did better work than that. I could have did better work than that. Blah blah blah. What it was he was jealous because I had the top tattoo guy in my dorm. Like he was the number one. Everybody wanted to book appointments with him to get tattooed up. And no, the tattoo guy wouldn't fuck with him. So it pissed him off and we ended up getting in a fight. But the thing about prison that surprised me the most is that not everybody in there's a mean killer out to kill you. And you got to watch how you look at people and shit like that. I mean, it can be. It just depends on how you're carrying yourself. That's a lot to do with it. How did spending years looking over your shoulder change the way you think? Oh, it changes the way you think because you can't trust nobody. While I was looking over my shoulder, I didn't trust anyone because every time I would leave somewhere, the cops was coming. 5 minutes after I left, somebody would call me and be like, the cops just surrounded my house. So I'm trying to pinpoint who could it be, okay? And then I'm at my mom's house. They show up at my mom's house while I'm inside. Okay, now who knew I was here? So who's doing this? All right, now they showed up to where I was just left the job site. Who knew I was at the job site? So, yeah, it makes it to where you don't trust people. It'll make you paranoid is what it'll do because you don't know who to trust. But I don't trust people easily anyway. I'm one that I think I'm a pretty good judge of character, and it's not hard to tell who some shiesty motherfuckers are. What was the first moment you realized that freedom isn't something you should take for granted? Sure, the moment I got them cuffs. As soon as them cuffs click on you, you feel it. As soon as they click, 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 on your wrist, you know you took your freedom for granted, because now you know you're going to be stuck in a cell. You're going to have to go through the drunk tank. You're going to be stuck in that nasty, stinking ass motherfucker. And then there with a bunch of bitches. And then you're going to go up and you're going to be in the dorm and you're going to be locked in there forever, and you ain't going to be able to do shit without permission. So that's the minute I'd realize, as soon as them cuffs click. And the biggest part was when I was in RDC, which is the evaluation place and diagnostic center for before you go to prison. It's got the cell doors like you see in the movies, the bars. And when that door closes, it's a distinct sound that you never forget. Once you've heard it, you never forget that sound. What did you learn about loyalty after experiencing betrayal? That loyalty ain't easy to find. That's one thing. Like me, I'm loyal as hell. I try to, like, if I fuck with you and I care about you, then I'm loyal to a T. But I know that it's hard to find somebody that's loyal. So many people are fake. They'll change who they are. They'll change their whole personality. Like, they'll be, say they're around me, they'll talk like a redneck, and then you see them around black people and they're talking like black people from the hood. Who, yo, G, what up, BZ, what up, dog, and all that shit. And then the next time you see them, they're trying to talk all prim and proper like they're some high class people. So it's hard to find somebody who's loyal, because everybody's fake and blends in where they can fit in, because everybody needs value. My experience, people I've been around that I don't fuck with no more, is people who need validation from other people. And I can't stand that. I don't need nobody to validate me. I know what I am. I don't care if you like it or not. What I am is what I am. And that's just the bottom line. I ain't going to sit here and be fake and act like I like something that I don't like just to be cool with you. I ain't going to start talking a certain way just so I fit in with you. Because all that does is make you look weak. To the people you're fitting in with and changing, they see that shit too. They see you changed up just to be with them. So that right there, they just like, yeah, this is a weak ass person I can take advantage of. If they're willing to change who they are just to fit in with me, then I know I got this motherfucking sucker. I can take advantage of them. But with that being said, guys, that's all I got for this one. Please hit that subscribe. Once I reach 1,000 subscribers, I'm going to do a giveaway. I'm not going to go into details on it. Once I get up to more subscribers, if you're a subscriber, when I do this giveaway, once I reach 1,000, I'll go into more detail on another video. But hit that subscribe button. Leave a like, a comment with the question. Subscribe. Till next one, see ya.